Around 250 years ago, our founding fathers revolted against an oppressive government, saying this: that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. At 1776, we believed that the core values upon which our country was founded, such as free speech and the right to private ownership of property, are tenets to a free society, and are under attack globally more now than at any time in the last 2 centuries.
I am Lily Tang Williams. I am running for Congress in New Hampshire City 2. People have to speak freely in order to think freely, exchange ideas, communicate with each other in order to get to the truth, and come up with solutions to the problems we face as a country. When others control your speech, they control your minds, thoughts, and keep you away from thinking the truth. The American people should not be silenced and censored. We need the representatives in Congress who will support your constitutional right to free speech. When in Congress, I will always fight for free speech and stop the government censorship.
We find the leader of that group that has vowed to shut tonight's event down, who makes a startling admission.
I don't think he should speak.
But that doesn't really comport with the First Amendment.
I don't care.
You don't care?
I don't care.
Why not?
I don't think that's a relevant document right now.
Freedom of speech is a hallmark of any free society. And yet here in the United States of America, the unimaginable is happening. Our right to free speech is facing an all-out assault. A 12-year-old boy in Colorado was removed from school for having a Gadsden flag patch on his backpack that reads, "Don't tread on me," a flag whose origins lie in the Revolutionary War as a symbol of resistance to British tyranny. A school in Indiana was blasted for telling a high school student to remove an American flag from his truck because it might be quote-unquote offensive to others. 12-year-old Liam Morrison and his family sued the town of Middleborough in Massachusetts for sending him home twice for wearing a shirt that simply said, "There are only 2 genders." A student in California is suing her school for banning her from wearing a red hat that says "Make America Great Again" on it, violating her First Amendment rights. This is happening in the United States of America today. These are just a few examples of what Ben Franklin warned against when he said, quote, "Freedom of speech is a principal pillar of a free government. When this support is taken away, the constitution of a free society is dissolved and tyranny is erected on its ruins." Our founders knew that a democratic republic requires a vibrant marketplace of ideas where freedom of speech and expression can thrive, where we can criticize our own government, exercise our free speech without fear of censorship or retaliation. Now, even though our country has wrestled with challenges to free speech for a long time, this is nothing new. Free speech today has never been more under threat. The last 4 years have shown us that there is no limit to what speech this government will attempt to censor or where
free unless government is limited. There's a clear cause and effect here that is as neat and predictable as a law of physics. As government expands, liberty contracts.
I have a right to work here.
He has a right.
I have a right to be here. And
You're arresting
not
him.
to tell students they need to tell puberty blockers.
You're arresting him
Not
because
to
he
tell
won't
students-
endorse.
He has lost his privileges and it should be taken down. And the bottom line is that you can't say that you have one rule for Facebook and you have a different rule for Twitter.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
The president's tweets and his behaviors about this are just further evidence of the fact that he uses his power in a way that is designed to beat people down instead of lift people up. Frankly, when you look at what he's been tweeting today, directed at the whistleblower, directed at so many people, I frankly think that based on this and all we've seen him do before, including attacking members of Congress, that he frankly his Twitter account should be suspended.
Now, this isn't just an American problem.
The offence of incitement to racial hatred involves publishing or distributing material which is insulting or abusive which is intended to or likely to start racial hatred. So if you retweet that, then you're republishing that, and then potentially you're committing that offence. And we do have dedicated police officers who are scouring social media. Their job is to look for this material and then follow up with identification arrests and so forth. So it's a really, really serious. People might think they're not doing anything harmful. They are, and the consequences will be visited upon them.
A central bank digital currency is the ultimate tool of control. Now, of course, there are other confected crises, and the government's proposed solutions, they're all designed to assert their authority and undermine your autonomy.
I think of Bitcoin the same way I think about the early internet. I think they didn't see it coming, and now it's a viable form of currency. You can actually buy things with it, and I think the government is freaking out. I think what they're going to try to do is they tried to do some shit with the internet during the Obama administration, where they were going to try to censor the internet, and it fell apart because people were furious in the uproar, and they thought the political repercussions of it were not worth it. Like the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, so they backed off of it. But I feel that there's going to come a time where some government, whether it's the United States or another government, might try it first. They're going to try to implement, I know they already do it in China, but they're going to try to implement a digital currency, a centralized digital currency that they can control.
Yeah.
What's scary about that is they could say, Khalil, we've looked at, your behavior online, and you have some marks against you.
Free speech is the bedrock of democracy. And free speech is what allows atrocities to be called out and for people to be aware of them. That's why the Germans wanted to shut down the press immediately. So anyway, I think we should do everything we can to preserve free speech. And when we lose free speech, I think we lose democracy.
Government censorship of, quote, misinformation either think that the general populace is too stupid to think for themselves, or those who are demanding the censorship have something to hide, period. The freedom of the individual is under attack. The world is at a crisis point. It isn't a matter of right versus left, race one versus race two, or religion versus religion. It's a matter of those who would suppress and smother individual freedom versus those who will stand up for it at any cost. The values of liberty and self-determination have allowed individuals to lead the world for the last 248 years in industrial innovation, the tech revolution, space travel, medicine, science, and most recently, the decentralization of finance. At 1776, we believe that the future of financial freedom is in cryptocurrency rather than the centralized banking system, and we encourage everybody who's curious to come check out the blockchain and learn about the future of finance. We've created a token and community on the Solana chain where we welcome free thinkers, like-minded individuals, investors, and people who want to have a little fun and converse with those who may think similarly to they do. Feel free to check out our Twitter and Telegram pages, join the community, and see if we resonate with you. Our podcast is going to be filled with information about cryptocurrency, history, current events, real-life shit, and a little bit of humor and fun mixed in. So please follow, comment, etc., so that we can continue to provide you, the listeners, with the most possible value. Thank you, and welcome to the 1776 podcast.